empty
You
box
mean
will light
those
up.
big green lights up?
Yes, yes, there you go,
There you
now
go.
you see it.
Okay, we've just returned from a 10-minute break, and we will start again with the town hall HVAC system. And Drew, would you like to present?
All right.
Ernesto?
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for meeting with us. The HVAC system for this building is 40-plus years old and in dire straits of needing replacement.
You know that today with freezing.
Just to give you a little background, the system is broken up into two sections, basically. So you have your heating plant in the basement, which is in the form of 3 gas-fired boilers, and then you have the air conditioning units up on the roof. And in the middle, they meet with air handlers to supply the hot or cold air throughout the building. Last week, one of the 3 boilers failed and has ended its useful life. It's been disconnected and does not longer work. The original design called for 3 boilers, 1 to act in redundancy, so now we don't have that anymore. The second one started to fail, and we did an emergency repair on it to buy us the rest of the winter, so we can make a smart decision to move forward instead of just replacing them. So we will not make next winter with our current system, and hopefully we'll make the rest of the winter. I'm pretty confident of that, but to go any further, our system is for all intents and purposes, reached its useful life. So,
Did it reach its useful life a couple years ago, actually?
well, I've been here a year, and it probably made it then.
So we really should have a more active coat drive at Town Hall?
Yeah. We're in good shape for the next few months. I think we'll be all right to the end of the year, but, end of the heating season, but,
As you can hear it rumbling
Just
over there.
listen.
so that leads us to having to make a decision on which route to go for a replacement. We were quoted, now these are rough numbers because a rough formal estimate needs to be done after a true design is finished, and that requires some decent amount of time to do. So, for a quick estimate, to replace what is broken now, just the boiler system, is $25,000 to $30,000. To do a full-fledged, complete system replacement, we're talking between $60,000 and about $70,000. So,
And that's replacement of heating and cooling.
heating and air conditioning, exactly, and the air handlers and all new ductwork. So while the one ticket item is twice as much as the other, the more expensive option number 2, as we'll call it, in the end will be cheaper. If we just replace the boiler system, we're only replacing, to use an analogy, like the engine of a car. The rest of the car is rusty, the transmission shot anyway. So if we just replace the boiler system, we will end up with brand new boilers in an old system, and we will not have anything that's any more energy efficient than what we already have now. But that can be done in phases, so if we're worried about costs, that can be phased in. The rest of the replacement, all the ductwork, the air handlers, the air conditioning units, and we'll end up with a more expensive design in the long run, and it won't be as comfortable as to put in a brand new system designed for this building. What we have now was sort of modified over the years to meet the occupancy we have now, but was never initially designed for an office building like this. Yeah.
And how's that fit in with the multiple leaks that we've had in this roof over the past few days?
Well, we took steps to contract somebody to come and do a temporary repair or a repair for those fixes. It would be wise of us to replace the roof prior to doing any HVAC work on the roof. But that makes the project much more
Sure it
expensive.
does.
We can do them in not the preferred order.
How does that add to the cost? If we were to do the HVAC and then go back and replace the roof and then put because you're putting the whole system on the roof? If you do a
Yes,
new
that's
system?
the
Yeah,
intent.
that's the intent, is to do that. I don't know an exact dollar figure. And
The
then,
heat system too?
yeah,
Everything.
everything would go up on the roof. I mean, we would try to design a system more or less how Town Hall West is configured. There are 3 package units up on the roof in Town Hall, and then all the ductwork is inside the ceiling, and each of those units do both heating and air conditioning. So we'd look to do something similar here. Putting a new system on an old roof, what you end up doing is in the long run, you put penetrations in, you have to, configure the old roof, the new roof to go around something that was, it's already existing, rather than building the foundation of the roof penetrations, what they call pitch pockets around the new roof. So we would just, I don't know if
It's
it's
not
a
ideal.
cost
Okay.
difference, it might be a little more labor intensive, because now you have to work around more, more structures up on the roof. Right now, there's minimal amount of things there.
And the patching on the roof, how long is that gonna buy us? Is the roof kaput or the roof still good?
The roof is definitely shot and has been for years.
And just hasn't been replaced?
It has not been replaced. Bob Cos has had,
Well, it's not just this building, it's the police department as well, both buildings.
I mean, we had
Bob's had
leaks
mold in
coming
his
through.
office and everything else. It's been bad.
So my question is if you were to, because the cost of heating and air conditioning the building, is there any cost savings to, upgrading the system, redoing the roof? I mean, over time, what kind of cost savings do we realize by becoming more energy efficient?
Well, we spend about $10,000 a year on just heating fuel, so natural gas. So we would expect the new system to be in the upwards of 10 to 15% more efficient. So we'd save about 10 to 15% of the gas cost. The electric is a little harder to figure out because it's mixed into all of the other electric uses in the building. But you should expect a savings there on that end of around the same range, 15.
It's almost 20% savings.
About
so-
20, I'd say about 20% savings on either gas or electric, going with something brand new. Replacing simply the components, the energy efficiency will be a little bit better, but nothing drastic.
Bad.
Yeah.
And what about the roof? Does that buy us any, I mean, the roof that's up there, if we did solar or something on the roof, would the roof support it if we replaced the roof? I mean, I'm just trying to see if we had an energy efficiency over, say, a 20-year period, the cost out from it, can we realize the cost of the project itself in our energy savings if we track it over
I
20
know
years?
we have looked at solar before. Ken looked into it. And the initial cost, the rate of return is 20 to 30 years. So if you can live with that, that would be one option.
And how long's the roof last?
Solar
No, just a regular, roof replace.
should get like 30 years out
About
of it.
30 years. Here we're on probably 40.
More.
Yeah, but I don't know what the cost factor is, it's up there.
Yeah, you're talking about
More than, yeah,
150,000
Yeah,
to do the roof.
yeah, 'cause we had, I think it was well over that for the police,
Yeah.
up around 600,000.
I mean, we would have to go out to bid, obviously, for something like such a large purchase, but we've had contractors come in just to give us an estimate to see what we're really entailing, and that's what we've been told, about 160,000.
My question is, are we gonna be able to leave it without, I mean, the water was pouring in the other day.
Okay, right.
I mean, how much more patching, I mean,
It's, to be honest with you, this has been going on since I've started here, which was 8 years ago.
Well, I certainly don't like hearing that someone has mold in their office.
Yeah. We had a Terminex come in and take care of that, but Bob had some serious black mold in his office.
so maybe we can bid it, cost it out, see what everything will be, and do an energy performance on it, see what will, I mean, it could bring the whole cost back down to the 60,000, if you're saving energy, by doing it.
Well, if you're saving energy, there's gonna be a rate of return on it.
Right, we'll see what our rate of return,
Right.
but where it equalizes, and then it'll be easier to make a decision on what can get done, right? I mean, if you're saving over 20 years, 20,000 already, just by replacing this whole system as one, you've almost brought back to your cost, you've gone from 60 down to 40 over time, and the other system is 30 and not as efficient.
Yeah.
So,
And there
Okay.
were also talks years ago about putting the reflective roof layering on so that it would retain the air, the cool air or the heat inside the building by,
Yeah, we would look into doing something like that. The building next door, that's what they did, and, we try to model something like that.
Well, let's get some costs.
Okay?
We just needed a direction. Do we want to, because I guess the bottom line is we can replace what's down there relatively quickly and be back up online, but we're still going to be with the old people, all the other things that are old.
Well, if you could do a proposal, you know, the cheap way out and the good way out, or whatever.
Actually, Ernesto, I think, had a really good idea. He was planning on bidding, the HVAC on a design-build basis, so that way we could get a variety of solutions to it rather than dictating the solution and assuming that's the best way to go.
Okay. I
That
think-
sounds good.
But the onus is on the bidders.
Right.
To come up with the design,
Sure.
and then we would evaluate it from an engineering standpoint,
Mhm.
and a cost standpoint.
Good,
I think we're all okay with that,
Yeah.
right?
that's a good way to do it.
Okay, so
Yep.
we're gonna go for a full replacement?
So do you, in addition, let me get this clear, in addition to the HVAC, do you want us to bid the roof out as well, or hold up on that?
I mean, I think we should be able to see both, to
Okay,
be able to be able to make a decision,
okay,
on it. We feel that we can get, I mean, this isn't, we have a few months to make these decisions, if we
Yes.
can get through the winter, and hopefully warm weather will come soon, and not too much heat.
right.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, we're trying to get into the window between cooling and heating season.
Mhm.
So ideally, we would try to do this in April, May,
Mm.
for the HVAC system. If we don't hit that target, then we're gonna be stuck in end of September, October.
And I think, Bill, budget-wise,
Yeah,
So that's what you have in front of you, and if you look at where we are, just the spending and the repairs and maintenance for both buildings and ground, based on the 3-year average, we may have roughly $50,000 to $60,000 left in those two lines if we spend at the same rate we did the last 3 years. Unfortunately, the trend has been going up where from 15 to 17, the number's now 270,000. What we typically would do, and I know Ernesto had mentioned that they'd want to start this in April, what we typically would do is wait towards the third quarter of the year and see where we are, depending on what else happens in other town buildings and grounds, to see if we have that $50,000 or $60,000 in this year's operating budget. So, if we need to do that before then, in April, we'll have to make a decision what the return is, so that if we're gonna be saving utility costs on the other side, then maybe we can do it prior to the third quarter.
But still, I mean, no sense putting wax on a car to trust it out either,
Right.
you know?
Yeah, I mean,
I can't imagine,
we need replacement.
yeah, I
It's just
can't
which
imagine putting
direction
a
you
clean
wanna
blanket
go
on
in.
dirty sheets, doesn't make
thank you
sense.
guys all for leaving this for me.
I got a lot of them.
I was thinking about.
Not even 1 month and the roof is leaking, and the
Everything's
heat's
falling
not
apart.
working.
It was
and,
leaking when we got here.
We certainly put a lot of money into infrastructure only because it was too tight. The ability to bond was very tight with the banks.
All right.
All right, thank you very
So
much.
more to be.
Welcome, thank you.
guys.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it, Bill.
Next, we have telecom data services.
No, I like them.
Hi, Rob.
I didn't know how many more you were gonna rattle off.
Oh, I got a ton of them. Something like that, like the Yogi Berra.
Okay, thanks.
This is Rob Piano, and Joy with the telecom services, and Joy with the council, and.
Hi, Joy, how are you?
That's all right, you don't, you
Hello?
Hi, hi, Joy, nice to meet you.
Morning.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, Bill,
Hello, how are you guys?
Good.
Good, how are you? Good.
the seat's nice and high.
Yes. Yeah, we did that on purpose.
Short people.
Right. Rob Piano's with the telecom services, and we brought them in probably about a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Cheers, yeah.
To evaluate our phone systems and its inadequacies. They did a site inspection of all the buildings, all the connections, and we asked for a proposal to bring us somewhat into the next century with voice over IP and new equipment and leases and stuff like that. So I want to turn that over to Rob, so he can say what course action he can.
Yeah, so what I'll do, I'll kind of share, for those of you that haven't met me, who we are as in telecom data service, what we do, some of the other municipalities that we've dealt with, and then kind of the process that we've done with Riverhead since it's been a little bit about around 2 years and over. And any questions that you guys have, feel free to ask when I ask that. And then from there, I'll hand it over to Newcastle with Brianna and Joya. They'll share the phone system piece, their company, and speak more of that, and then take questions as well, and then they'll speak to the proposal as well, and then I'll show you the all-encompassing saving solution that we put together for the town. Does that sound good? Okay, great. So we are
Can you
general.
save us $60,000 for the HVAC?
60,000 a year.
I was just thinking that.
So we're general contractors or.
Actually, I think it's close to that.
No, it is
Yeah,
close to that.
It is.
General contractors or professional service for IT, telecommunications, technology, and cloud services. We act as a consulting, vetting agency or cost reduction agency that helps and assists as an advocate and extension to municipalities to put together an all-encompassing solution when it comes to needs, wants, pain points that an organization has. Because we don't just like to make a recommendation, we like to see what other areas can we help a municipality decrease costs, since as we know, that a nonprofit, that's always a big question, is how else can we fund these, where's the budget for this, and what is it gonna be feasible? So we like to partner and work with organizations to be, build that long-term relationship and make, a feasible decision and together make an intelligent business decision. And so what we do, like I said, we do a lot of the vetting, whether it's telecommunications, just the services, whether it's the phone system, whether it's IT services, whatever need or want that an organization has, we'll help and vet out. So some other organizations that we worked with, we just finished a project with the town of Grand Island in Western New York. We actually brought in Newcastle, that finished up last week. They needed a new phone system, around 80 handsets. So what we did for them, we vetted out some options to get them more bandwidth at a lower rate, which we did, and then they needed a new phone system. We recommended Newcastle. They do a lot of work with municipalities. They're woman-owned and woman-run, which we love, and they do a standout job. So we helped them bring in a brand-new phone system with no out-of-pocket cost, along with $12,000 in annual savings. A couple years ago, we worked with the town of Haverstraw. Same exact scenario, made some recommendations for IT services to help reduce cost, made a recommendation for a phone system. So we helped them bring in a brand new phone system with no out-of-pocket cost and $45,000 in annual savings as well, acting as their consultant. And also recently, the town of Orchard Park, we did the same thing, helped them move from old faxes to e-fax, reduce them a couple $100 a month, I believe it was, with that. Help them get more bandwidth at a lower rate, and bring in a brand new phone system with no out-of-pocket cost as well. So that's pretty much how we work and what we do, acting as an extension, as an advocate. Something that's always gets asked, I know I've discussed it with you guys, but I'll share again, is how we get compensated. That's very unique for municipalities and nonprofits. We understand that, like I said, organizations don't have the money to spend for consultants, so what we do, we share 50% of the savings of the first year only. It's built in, there's no out-of-pocket cost. If we help a client save $10,000 a year, so we share 50%, that's $5,000, that's split into two payments, one at the front of the project and the other when the project is completed. So it's built in, so essentially you're paying what you're paying today for the first 6 months, and then you keep the savings, whatever the contract is with that client. Now in regards to Riverhead, before I get into that, does anyone have any questions about telecom data service, the savings fee, anything in general?
We had a full presentation, a phone presentation from your company last
Yes.
year, a few months ago.
Yes.
Okay.
So now regarding Riverhead, this started, as Jim stated, around 2 years ago, a little bit more. So initially what we did, we had a conference call, learn about the pain points, the needs, the wish list, and we learned that the town needs a new phone system. I believe it's 25, 30 years old, it's antiquated, it's out of date. And also, as most municipalities state, we want to see how we can reduce our costs. So then from there, we have multiple calls to take a deeper dive. And then we also get 1 month of invoices of internet, data, voice, and maintenance, because that shares information that always can't be shared and discussed and taken a deeper dive on a conference call. So we got all that information. Bill was a great help with that. And so what we did, we made some recommendations for the telecom services. We recommended a company called Access Point, and that savings, which I'll touch upon at the end, but depending on if you guys go with a purchase, it's gonna be $3,900 or $3,800 a month in savings. If you guys end up going with a lease, it's around $5,200 or $5,300 a month in annual savings. Now that savings is telecom services, maintenance costs, and internet costs. So we recommended that for the telecom services.
What kind of lease is that?
It's a 5-year lease, correct?
5-year municipality lease.
And so the term with Access Point is 3 years for the telecom services. The service for the phones is 5 years lease if you end up going that route, not purchasing. And then with the phone system, it kind of cut it down somewhat easily because, as you know, the town has antiquated infrastructure or cabling, which alone to upgrade is anywhere from $150,000 to $200,000 plus. So when we were looking at Newcastle, like I said, they're woman-owned, they're woman-run, they work with a lot of municipalities, they'll share that. and they're able to run a phone system over the antiquated infrastructure or cabling, so that way you don't have to go outright and update that. So it's gonna be able to go over the current environment that is there today.
And that's
Well, I might add,
all
that
built in,
there's a
so-
product, yes, it's built into it, but there's a product that does that, that we use in Manhattan on historical buildings and what have you, where they can't go in and rip up and recable in order to accommodate new phone systems and what have you. And it's used throughout the country, and most of our clients love it, because it does save a boatload of money. Recabling is expensive,
And that's for all the buildings, all the townwide buildings?
Correct.
yes.
And so, yeah, they have a great product with that, being able to do that, or software to be able to do that. And so, you know, like I said, we recommended Access Point for the telecom services, and then we're gonna use Newcastle for the phone system. And so, that's really what we did for the vetting process for that, to build out an all-encompassing solution, not just a phone system, but to help the town also reduce cost. And so, you know, another reason too that was brought up is that black box, they're month to month, and I was told that they may not be able to assist or find parts when there's a problem right now. So obviously, if something happens with black box right now, there's gonna be major issues where the maintenance is included with the phone system, so that will be taken off the plate. And know, Jim, I know you hated when I said this, but because this has taken so long and it's been pushed a little bit over 2 years, the town has lost out on about $100,000 to $120,000 in telecom savings. And so that's really the whole project, what we've done for the vetting process with the telecom services and along with the phone system. Does anyone have any questions before I hand it over to Newcastle?
I have a stupid question.
Go right ahead.
Telecom versus phone services, what's?
Telecom data service, oh,
So,
telecom services.
Yeah, what do they encompass each? Like, what does it mean?
So they're gonna handle all the voice, the services that Verizon does today. They're who you use for your voice cost. You said Nortel, correct, for the phone system?
Currently, you have a Martel system.
Yeah, so Nortel handles the phones, Verizon does the services. So Access Point will take the place of Verizon, and Newcastle will take the place of the Nortel system.
Okay, so that's the physical phones themselves versus
Yes.
what goes up, what
What
that
traffic
can't
communicates.
even
goes in
get-
and out,
We can't
exactly.
even get parts for really anymore. We pay $25,000 a year to Black Box to come out and service our contracts if we do need them to come out and look at something in the phone system. And it's, you know, it's just, we pay them $25,000 whether they come or not. So there's,
And that's an antiquated system, that we don't have any of the bells and whistles that we would get
It's
in
Stone
addition
Age.
to the stations. Yeah.
My
It
phone
is.
looks like it's
Getting
from
tired of
50s.
climbing the pole out there and ringing it.
You'd actually be better off having a butt seat, just finding any line and
You guys updated
using
a little
that.
bit. Just a
Mine still has the dial on it.
Does it really?
So that's really what we've done for Riverhead. If nobody else has any other questions, what I'll do, I will hand it over to Newcastle. Brianna deals with customer service, and she's an operational manager. And then Joya is the president and the owner of Newcastle. Like I said, they're woman-run, woman-owned, do a standout job, and have worked with a lot of municipalities.
By the
So
way, thanks for emphasizing that.
I love when I can bring them on. So I'll hand it over to them.
I'm Joy, I'm Brett, good morning, and we thank Telecom Consultants for having us and taking a serious look at our bid and having us at the table with you. We also came out here and we met with your folks here, we did a walkthrough and analysis of everything just to make sure we were, spot on what we need to do. Because this is a more complex type of situation, and every situation is unique. I mean, you've got a mixture of kind of an older environment here. So we did our due diligence on that part. A little bit about Newcastle. We have been in business 38 years, 39. I was young when the company started. And we're out of Manhattan, although we do business throughout the United States. We do a lot of nonprofits, large and small municipalities, cities and states. I always kid them, these kids. When I started, these didn't exist. Laptops didn't exist. And we were in the mainframe computer business, essentially knocking out programming in the telecom industry. But since then, we think we put together a really dynamite proposal that takes into consideration your infrastructure. I think we were the only ones to come to the table with the solution, which is out there and being used by not just us, but many, many companies to avoid the recabling piece. And so I think that's going to be important for you to look at. There is a huge savings as well. And the product is a wonderful product. It's, I'm gonna let Brianna get into the details of that when she speaks. But suffice to say, we deal with, HHC, Northwell now, here in New York, in Long Island, is one of very large clients of ours. Allegheny County, Ulster County, Orange County, Town of Grand Island we just did.
Town of Wheaton.
And it goes on and on. A lot of big universities too, from Brooklyn College to SUNY to a lot of the SUNY locations, and so on throughout the state of New York. So we have a very big, we're not a huge company, but we have a huge footprint in the state of New York and actually throughout the country. We have a unique concept as well that I want to emphasize before Brianna starts, in that we give, since we are, I always say, what's the cheapest thing to do? Roll a truck. If you call and say, that phone set is broken, or this isn't working, what does Black Box do? They send a guy out with a truck, right? Okay. They have to because of the phone system we currently have. Unfortunately, that's Black Boxes and most other organizations' model still. We don't do that. We keep on site here what we call a crash kit. Someone says I should change the name, but that's...
Spare components parts.
But that, she tells me I shouldn't say that. But that's in effect of what it is. Because if a phone is broken, if a gateway goes down, and we'll be using gateways in this organization to connect all the buildings and everything, you're gonna need immediate assistance. Now, if you roll a truck, you gotta wait at least 45 minutes for someone to get here. Doesn't matter how close they are. Then you gotta hope that the right part is on the truck. Because if it's not, they gotta go back, find it, and come in, and then they've gotta program it. We've done away with that. About 10 years ago, we got this brilliant idea. Why don't we just, we've got this huge inventory sitting in a warehouse in New York. Why don't we just give it to our more remote clients, our larger clients, and keep it on site? We won't charge for it because it's gonna ultimately save us money. We did the math on that, and it does. I will not kid you that it doesn't. It does. It's cheaper to have someone, you guys, go to that kit, take the new phone out, plug it in, and send us back at your leisure the broken phone, or to take the gateway, plug it in, and then one of our guys immediately dials in and makes sure it's programmed and set up correctly. These would be pre-programmed, but there's still things you have to do when they're, out of the box and plugged in. And you're up and running. Okay, that's that typical 45 minutes to an hour and a half you would have waited for someone to get here. You're done. Okay, so that's been a very, very positive thing for us. The other unique thing that's happened with it, when we did Ulster County, I don't know if you know how big that county is, but it's about the size of Rhode Island, and it's far-flung. I mean, there's no way we're in Manhattan, and so we're an hour and 45 minutes away anyway, but there's no way anyone can get to the critical pieces quickly. No one. So this worked well for them, but we had kind of an unattended positive consequence, which was when they had auditors come in and so forth, and all of a sudden they needed to set up 10 new phones in an office, they had them on site. They go in, they plug them in, our guys program them, then we send you a bill, they're 10 new phones, okay? And then we backfill the crash kit. So that was kind of and we've seen that all over. We do Bloodworks, which is in the Pacific Northwest, outside of Seattle, and they're huge blood research, and they function also as a blood collecting and distributor. So they have clinics in a lot of the hospitals all around the state of Washington. They're moving into Oregon now. They're expanding very, very rapidly. We did the same thing for them. Now whenever they do a clinic, they can, the person we deal with there in IT says, oh yeah, they always tell me 2 days, before they're expanding that they need all this stuff. Well, now she doesn't worry. She has what she needs there. We can do the expansion. And I mean, they're in, just outside of Seattle. So, I mean, there's no way, even if we had a partner, which is what we used to do in the very old days locally for our larger clients outside of the New York City state area, it wouldn't have worked quickly. So I just want to bring that to your attention, that's one of the unique things you're getting with us. It's worked very well. We're not newbies, obviously. We've been in the business 38 years. We'll be 39 years next October, and so on. So with those happy notes, I will turn it over to my young'un and let her take over.
My name is Brianna. I work with Joya. I am one of the customer support and operations managers, so I deal a lot directly with the clients, their everyday needs. I'm assigned to specific categories.
And she's fabulous.
I deal directly with a lot of municipalities. Ulster County, Allegheny County were two municipalities I currently and recently worked with. So I'm gonna go into a little bit into the slides, but before we do that, your current phone system's in Nortel. Like, you know, Rob had said, it's 25, 30 years old. Allegheny County was a great case study for you guys to look at with us. Is we've displaced 2 Nortels there, one that was located in the jail, and then one that serviced the courthouse and all the surrounding locations. The total project was over 500 endpoints amongst 6 or 7 locations plus the jail. And they were able to save money specifically with their phone system maintenance, which is going to be a big crucial part for you guys because just our maintenance per year is lower than what you're paying now. The solution is an NEC product called the Univerge SV9100. It is a software-based product that's preloaded, comes in configured onto a chassis for you. Chassis are how phone systems come. And I'll go through kind of the features and functions and benefits and how this phone system solution is going to better save you the money with the cabling. As you know, cabling back in the old days when you used to run the phone down the hallway, that cable is called a Cat3 cable. Updated cabling is called Cat5 or Cat6. Cat5e is required for VoIP or above, which would be your Cat6 cabling. One of the biggest issues we face with a lot of municipalities, you have lots of buildings, lots of cable you don't see running, and replacing it is extremely costly. Having someone pull down every piece, going through, running multiple cables, designing it. For you guys be looking close to $150,000 to $200,000 to rewire every building. One of the products we'll show you will reuse the existing cabling, giving you the updated phone system like you guys had recabled to Cat5, Cat6, giving you all the benefit and giving you that extra life to what you currently have. So I'll hit a few buttons to go through and we'll take you through that.
Is the Cat6 is what the internet runs off of also?
That's what you should have if you're building a new building, you put in, that's Cat6.
I just had a curious, for our internet service, will these boxes work as well, or no, this is just for phone systems?
Well, I will let Rob answer that. I think you're addressing the services for
It'll be
the
separate.
It's
Yeah,
separate.
it'll be separate.
Separate?
My president, on that note, I said when this is finished, we can take a look at fiber options for you guys as well, when the phone system piece is
No.
done.
I'm sorry. We have to put this up for RFP, I believe, right?
This is on an OGS contract.
It's on
So it's coming
OGS.
off the state contract, okay. I just didn't want you to reveal all your information if we had to put it out for RFP.
No, yeah, we've been through all that.
Okay,
We passed a resolution bringing Rob's company in to do the RFI for us. So they did their own RFPs, and that's how they found Julia.
right, well, we gave them the authorization to come in and look at the system that we have now to
Yes.
see whether or not they could actually utilize the black fiber and everything in order
This
to
is
put
the-
the systems in, whether or not our system was compatible.
Yep, this is their solution.
So this slide is just showing you NEC. NEC is our manufacturer. They've been in the United States for over 100 years. They're a multi-billion-dollar company, international company. They're very financially stable. They're headquartered here in Irving, Texas. This product, although is a Japanese company, all the development of this product is done here in the United States. So all of your support people, your development, your software writers are local here. They're actually out of Chicago.
We won't be calling the Philippines.
Yeah.
You'll be calling us. We won't be calling the Philippines.
We won't be calling the Philippines, so you'll be speaking, locally too. You're directly with the manufacturer, and all of that. So they're, like I said, they're one of the top 50 innovative companies, rated by the Boston Consulting Group. So they have a lot of different products, and a lot of different industries. They're actually one of the leaders in biometrics. Although today that might not be a need for you guys with fingerprint scanning, facial recognition, and all of that technology can integrate into all the NEC phone system lines. So down the road, if you guys are interested in doing things like that, you'll be able to,
Lock our doors?
yes.
Well, yeah, but it's interesting, the facial recognition. I was just in Dallas. I'm on the board of directors for the dealers of North America. So there's 9 of us, and we're giving the roadmap of new products coming down. And I just came back last night, and they've got the #1 facial recognition in the world. And it's very interesting because everybody uses badges now. Well, you can give your badge to anyone, and anyone can get in anywhere. And we're starting to talk about this. They've picked up several major airports NEC has throughout the U.S. We're starting to talk with them to different hospital systems and what have you for neonatal wards and what have you, where, you know, babies have gotten stolen and people walk out. Well, you can do facial rec on the whole family. They can come and go through the doors automatically. You can do it in courts. That's a pain point almost everywhere. You can use it in, so you want people to get in fast, known lawyers, judges, and so forth. You may have some exceptions and photos of those people who you don't want near the building. Well, that can be handled too. And so that's all being incorporated in the phone system as well. So it can be used in many different ways. And they're the only manufacturer right now in the world that's doing this. And I think that's, I think, you know, having our headquarters in New York City, obviously that's a place where we're moving on very quickly. But I see that spreading out over the next 5 to 6 years to just about every courtroom, every police station,
Boy.
et cetera. So just to say, you'd be set up to incorporate this at a much lower price point because it's not going to be a whole net new system.
Yeah.
So, sorry, Brianna, go ahead.
What would that do to your ego if you blew the machine up?
So we already went through, you know, who we are and what we do. These are just some of our current Newcastle customers in the New York area as well as local area. From Ulster County, Allegheny County, we do Sussex Community College, DeWitt in New York City is a client of ours as well, Orange County, but we also are national, like Joya had mentioned, we have Bloodworks Northwest, which is a blood bank all the way in Seattle. So we have a far reach, and customers.
Oh, someone from New Hampshire there. So.
And we do have Town of Milford out in New Hampshire. So these are just to Astor Services, Town of Grand Island. These are all customers, current and long-term customers of Newcastle. All right. So the product that we'll be presenting is the NEC Univerge SV9100. Basically, this overview is going to show you is the first level, which is your smart infrastructure. You guys are going to have failover built in. You have currently run right now, the way that your phone system is built, you have one closet, one phone system. If it decides to go today, you have no phone system. There's no backup for it. With our new solution, we're going to have 2 separate failover locations, one which will be your main hub, and the second one which will be located at a different site that's up for wherever you guys like to go. We can design that with you. Being that if for some reason your main site here had gone down, internet went, you know, your whole infrastructure, power outage, and your UPSs that were backing up for the power went out, a second site can take over and continue to service the rest of the town without worrying about what was happening here, so we can specifically concentrate. They operate as the same, so once this phone system is disconnected, it's an automatic failover. There's no intervention required. Notifications will be sent out that there's been issues, and we can address it immediately in our NOC. All right? The newer environments of the world,
Let me stop you
go
there.
ahead.
So what she says is a knock is just we get emails, for the system talks to us on a constant basis. And it also helps us be proactive. And by that it says, okay, I think X needs to be looked at or something before there's an emergency. What we don't want our clients to have are emergencies. We want to be proactive with it. It's cheaper, it's better for everybody, and everybody stays happy and becomes a wonderful reference. So it's a great system in that regard, in that it alerts us on everything. It gives us a health check on it, some components on an hourly basis and some every 24 hours and so forth.
So, question, even though all of our buildings are not connected right now with the black fiber, that we have out parcels like the highway department and the senior center, so the redundancy, how does that work? Does it have to be connected, if town hall goes out, redundancy would go to someone that is connected through the black fiber?
Sure, so just, the black fiber is not necessary for it.
Okay.
So if you have a full loop, that would have been great, but obviously it was very expensive to continue the loop. As long as you have network connectivity back to a location, so some of the smaller sites have that network connectivity today, that's all that they need. The network would be via Wi-Fi connection or an actual fiber link. Either one of those would suffice in order to keep that location up.
Okay.
All right. The buzzwords of today for phone systems are called unified communications. Unified communications encompass more than just picking up the phone and leaving a voicemail. Now we're into the world of connecting to your calendar, being mobile. You know, we all not at our desks every day. You know, we walk away, we go places. This user experience also will increase productivity, which has been, there's plenty of case studies out there. Instant messaging, integration to your calendar. So if you were to email me or call me at my desk today, it would tell you that I'm in a meeting until 1:30 and that you can call me back then, or you can ask to leave a message, or you can say locate, and it'll locate me if I'm allowing the location on my cell phone, and it'll send me a notification that someone's looking for me. This unified communications experience is bringing in everybody. You're not at your desk, you're out at town hall, you're, you know, in the police department taking it, but you still want to be able to pick up your calls at your desk. This system will allow you to do that. You can instant message instead of calling somebody. You can see if they're on the phone and who they're talking to. If you allow that, there's security rules you can take back from it. But it gives you kind of that acknowledgement that you guys are looking for.
And all of that information stays within house here?
Correct.
None of that's shared out?
Correct.
No, and things like text messaging and so forth, we do have text messaging in this?
Correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure. That has an audit trail and a storage process, so that too is something that you're protected from.
Everything will stay behind your firewall and on here. Nothing is cloud-based, nothing you have to worry about someone else's data centers. This is your system, and your information is
Stays
stored
within.
here. Correct. Scalability, really quick, this item can go up to over 12,000 endpoints. You guys are well below that at this time. You guys are about 300. So you guys can take this if you guys expand other locations, you can take it with you. And it's a very simple solution. Gives you advanced technologies, but not the price tag that other enterprises may have to do for other applications. It's giving you that cost savings, but giving you the options for the new world.
We also took into consideration that you don't have a lot of staff here. And we had a couple of choices in solutions, and this was, I would say, in terms of management internally here, this is, we think this fits you very, very well. It's simple, it's straightforward. The admin piece is very, very easy. And I think it'll, as I said, fit very well here.
So this is just to show you what I just went over. It's scalable up to 12,000 ports. It's UC and IP equipped. UC, if you see that in the future, means unified communications. IP is IP protocol, internet protocol. So this is just showing you that you can expand it with the NEC SV9100 chassis and blades, and they're networked survivable remotes. Same thing we just covered. All right. This product is the NVT FiBridge. The FiBridge is the item that Julia and Rob and I were discussing that's going to be reusing your existing cabling. What happens is that this unit goes into the closet under which you have switches and routers now inside of every IT closet you have. It gets installed in there. Instead of going directly into the switch, it's just a second step, goes into it and then goes into the switch. This unit is going to be sending power over Ethernet, which Ethernet is those old cables, and be able to power the phone without having to replace the cabling. In a normal circumstance, if I tried to plug that old cabling into a newer switch, a PoE switch or what have you, it wouldn't work. It doesn't have the capability of the insides of it for it to power it. This piece of technology, this company that developed this, it's their only company that does it, and it does it fantastically. The amount of savings, Ulster County had used it in one of their old state buildings. They have a historical building, which of course we could not rip the cable down when we were redoing their project, and they have that currently in place. And it saved them, you know, for them it was about $10,000 versus paying for a couple $1,000 unit, like a couple $100 unit. So it was much more affordable for them. And like we covered with you guys, you're going to be saving hundreds of thousands of dollars to do it. Do you have any questions on this product specifically? Okay. So this really quick, these are just some of the unified communications or UC benefits that is included in your phone system that we're proposing. There's no extra cost to them. Phone control being I can, click a mouse on my computer, it'll pop up that I'm taking a phone call and my phone will go off hook and I can take it. You guys will have a web client that'll again be behind your firewall that also has an audit trail. Be able to see if everyone's on the phone. Who they're on the phone with, if they're in a meeting for the day. For mine's connected to my calendar, so if you were to open up my web client, one of my colleagues, they would see that I'm in a meeting. I can even add a note to it to say I'm in a meeting with Town of Riverhead. If you need me, call me after 4. or send me an email and I'll respond as soon as I can. Give little presence notes, which allows people to be more productive, because leaving a voicemail, you don't know when they're gonna get back to you. You can, email helped with that, but this gives people a little bit, okay, you know what, if I really need to talk to her, I can call her at 4 on the dot at her desk, or I can say, locate, and they'll find me. It's better than zeroing out and finding a person. Ulster County was great when we had it in the district attorney's office. One of the great use cases was they're actually able to see the district attorneys, and if they were on the phone, and being able to transfer and see their presence, so when clients were calling, they were able to give them a real time frame for it. So it was really successful on that side.
So, a question on that. So the history of any particular extension and the calls who've come in and gone out, who has access to that information?
That would only be who you provide it to. Your administrator of the system, whether that's on-premise in IT, would be able to pull those reports for you. There's also other levels of access for reporting inside that's built that you could have someone log in to pull.
And you can restrict all of it also.
And you absolutely can restrict it. We have
Oh, yeah.
clients, for example, if you're worried about us pulling reports or someone getting in, the passwords would be turned over to you. There are clients that allow us, we do day-to-day maintenance for them. We're able to access their system. We'll send them an email accessing system now. Or we have to call, get an IT person, they let us in their VPN tunnel.
I'm just talking about internally and whether or not there have been any uprises from, say, the unions, the CSEA for the employees as to the administrators of the phone system having access to who they're talking to, when they're on their phone, when they're in their desks, when they're, have you experienced any?
We haven't experienced, you saw the list of organizations we deal with. It's an interesting question, but nobody has nobody's brought that to our attention before.
Yeah, if it's limited to IT, IT is the only one that can pull it. So IT would have to have a level of access
I mean, you
who's the
can limit,
administrator.
we can nail the whole thing down if it's gonna be an issue here.
Okay, just that question, that's all. It's just something that we need to think about as elected officials
Yeah,
and
we
and
don't-
our
Absolutely.
contracts.
I'm blocking dominoes off my phone now.
All right. So you were talking about call logs, so that would be it. That would be for missed, received, completed calls internally and externally. You can see the caller ID, the duration of the call, the call back, all that sort of stuff is included. You have the ability to record calls. You can add the feature, take away the feature to users if necessary. So if you have certain lines that need to be recorded.
That's on the fly recording, correct?
Correct, yep.
Okay, so let me explain what that is. It doesn't record all the time. It means if you pick up the phone and you're talking to someone and you want to record that call, you can initiate it. Hit a button and do that. So just to make that clear.
And instant messaging would be the other piece that's included there. This is the desktop client that we were talking about. It's web-based, which is, I want to share the real benefit with web-based versus computer-based systems. A lot of times, especially here, you may not have the IT bandwidth to go to every computer and push out an update that's happening there. You're already flooded with Windows updates and other programs. Being that this is web-based, once we update it or NEC updates it, it's updated and it goes into our updates we do for you for patches. You never have to go to a user's
Never
desk.
use our system.
Yeah, you never have to go to a user's desk and worry about if it's working or not. Everything takes place at the primary, and that's where everything happens. So a lot more secure that way, and also users aren't going to come across, my
You
PC
see
client's not
pictures there.
working.
You don't have to have pictures, but.
Yeah. All right, so I have call control on the top, so if I had the web page up, my phone was ringing, you can drag and drop. I can transfer a call by just dragging my phone call over to someone, blind transfer or an attendant transfer.
And again, you don't have to use this.
Right.
So if you've got people who just want to use the phone on their desk, they can. But for operators and other people, it might be very appropriate. And usually we get a good number of takers with both younger people and people my age who are more attuned to technical and enjoy this. So it's going to be a mixed bag, just so you know.
I can drag somebody and throw them in somebody else's office?
You can.
I like that.
You can.
I like that a lot.
This is just a quick picture of the newer phones that you guys should be getting. Obviously, some of you said your phones look like it was from the Flintstones age. So these are the new phones. They have LCD screens. You're going to be able to have soft keys is what they call them, hot keys. They can be changed. If you guys look over at some of the phones, they have paper labels on them. This eliminates that need, so when you make a name change, it updates automatically on the phone. Gives you kind of a couple layers there.
So you can have I have a phone in my office and I've got all my key technical people, Brianna and accounting, and I just press a button. I have no idea what their extensions are.
But it's interesting, because we have had that problem now, when we've had new employees come on, or when the phone line,
Right,
you
you gotta
know,
change all
the
the paper labels.
extension is always 225, and they're moving office to another office, you have to have Black Box come out and actually play telephone operator and trying to move them to the
We
new
can
space.
just, either your admin person, if you feel comfortable with them doing it, can do it, or you call us. We do it, it takes 2 seconds, and everybody's done with it.
Reprogram it to an extension through VoIP. right?
Even better than that, say you're moving offices, you take your phone with you to the next office, that extension pops up. That's the value of IP and voice over IP,
Yep.
is because you don't have to, we won't have any technicians moving things in closets anymore. With this technology, when it's installed, if you move an office, employee gets transferred, but they want to keep it, they literally take just their phone with them, plug it into a new spot, and they're good to go.
And then so you can do all last name, like when someone calls in to different, can you do that with this? Like if you wanna call to different offices, or you wanna get somebody by last name, all of that can
Can
be
be a part of
programmed?
Dial by
into this?
directory, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Now, with the VoIP, or voice over internet, is that, what about the quality of the phone call and the, I guess the connectivity, I would say, to the phone, because if someone's on the internet and then they're on their phone at the same time, everybody is, then sometimes you can lose that, quality of,
Sure,
You
so I
get-
can go over that, yeah. So one of the best values of FiBridge is not just that it sends power over your current infrastructure. It actually acts as its own network it's actually called QoS, which is quality of service. It actually has that built in and maintains that for you. What we do is we can tell the systems what should go out first. So if voice is the most important thing, which it usually is, you don't want to jitter on a phone call, it will prioritize that voice traffic to go out first, and all other data to come second. It's great technology, and the reason we highly recommend the product, because for people that don't have the IT staff or people to maintain switches and routers, this is a one all-in unit that gives you quality of service and the power that's required in one box instead of having to do multiple. And it maintains it, and since we would be managing it, it would be our responsibility to make sure the QoS is there.
So if we have it all in one box and we choose to have the voice as our first choice, so to speak, will that slow down our
data.
data?
So.
We still want to use our data while we're on the phone, so it's not, we're
Sure.
not going to get interference necessarily on the voice, but will it slow down or, create a lag in our data?
Absolutely. So one of the first things we're going to do if you, moving forward, if you pick to go with Newcastle, is we're going to do a network assessment. We're going to come in and we're going to place laptops and computers all at certain locations with the software, and we're going to run it for 3 to 4 days. What happens is the data is collected on a normal basis. We're going to see how much traffic you're having over your network. If there's any bottlenecks, we'll be able to work with TDS to talk to your internet providers if you need it. On the back end of that, it's newer technology takes up about, I would say, this much is voice. Voice data is so small in comparison to you searching Google. It's incredible. It's almost like
I was gonna say, it's like,
1/10.
we're talking nanoseconds here of stuff being prioritized and what have you.
Yeah.
We're not talking about, 10, 15 seconds that are, now you can't access something on your computer.
well, that was one of the hurdles that we had when we explored a new phone system years ago, was
Exactly.
that we didn't have the switches. Since then, we've replaced several of the switches. So hopefully they're adequate enough to handle all the data and the voiceover as well.
And also, the technology has changed radically. If we were here 10 years ago, I'd have to be honest and say, well, you may get jitter on some phone calls here and there and what have you. That's been 99.9% eliminated. And when you use a product, as Brianna pointed out, like FiBridge, we can adjust dials and look at quality of service, match it up with our network assessment we do prior to that. And if you've got some big hole in your network that you can drive a truck through, we'll let you know. I mean, and these folks can.
We may not
choose-
wanna know that.
Well, it's typically not terribly expensive either to fix that. But one never knows. But we do have to do this before we officially start. And we'll give you the report. And usually everything's fine. I mean, very seldom do we find much of anything.
So we'll be able to give that to you guys. And again, it's such a small amount of traffic in comparison to other data that you'd be running. There's usually not any concerns. I've run,
Again,
yeah.
because of the compression and everything in today's setup, it's small.
Part of the system that's unique is the UM8000. This is a unified messaging portion to your system that's being included. Unified messaging, I don't like to say, Joy's gonna knock me over the head, voicemail. But it's so much more than that. This is gonna give you the voicemail to email. So how many times are you sitting at your desk?
Let me explain this. This is why I like it, okay? I am old. I do not remember things so well, especially passwords and what have you. I almost forgot the word password. But every voicemail I get gets sent to my email with the WAV file attached. I don't know what my password is anymore. I haven't known for about 14 years now, because everything goes in here. When I delete it here, it's deleted on the system, and I'm done with it. And it also obviously gives it a higher sense of urgency, because what do we all do nowadays? We look at this first. We don't go over to a phone, pick it up and dial, well, maybe you do now, given the phone system you have, and dial in. Well, so those voicemails linger for maybe hours, or what have you. And they don't here, because you're gonna see it mixed in with your emails, and you're gonna listen to it. So,
That's great,
Yeah.
because it's real time.
It's real
Meeting
time.
canceled, so instead of getting here and then checking your messages to find out that the meeting was canceled,
you're gonna
You're
have
just
it on
getting
your,
it on your phone.
on your cell phone. As long as this is sunk up with your computer here at Town Hall, and you're good. Okay?
This is also, it has everything that you need to it, auto attendance when you call into a certain location. We saw this with one town that we're working with, the town of Ulster, is currently becoming part of the same system Ulster County has. And their biggest issue was when water called sewer, they're paying for that phone call because there was no adjoined network. With what you guys will be getting, it's an adjoined network, your phone call bills will be consolidated. So if you make a call over to PD and PD calls water for whatever reason, you're no longer charged for that. That will consolidate some of your costs that you're having now. Everything is, again, it goes right into one of the systems, and it sits there. It's all in-house, it's not going anywhere. Like you were asking, dial by name for directory, there it is. All right, any questions?
So I'm looking at text-to-speech.
Yes.
Does it go the other way around too? So if we have a voicemail, is that stuff typed in so you can actually, instead of listening to it, you're in a meeting like this and you want to see what that message was, that you can see the actual text of what that voicemail is?
For this system, that's not there. Usually that's outside parties providing that kind of transcription. It also comes in multiple languages, so in the future, if you guys have, residents that need additional languages, that's there for you.
My phone does that now. Somebody leaves me a voicemail, and I go to listen to it, it's spelled out. It's actually written out.
We'll be giving you guys conference server. This will support up to 32 participants in a single conference, and you can do conference scheduling from the application. So if you guys can't all be in one room, can multiple parties call in. Naturally, you'll get a 3-party conference, so 3 of you are in separate rooms, you can do that. But for this, you'll actually be able to have 32 people call into one bridge, 32 people talking at a time. All right?
Wow. Why we get that now?
This is a very complex looking slide. What this is really showing is the failover and the connectivity that different sites have. So WAN stands for Wide Area Network, meaning that's how all of your different sites are connected. There's some sort of link between all of them from a router, and our chassis are talking to each other's sites over the routers. These do not take up a lot of traffic. This is something that's done on the back end. Every few seconds are sending information across. And what it's also showing is the redundancy that you're going to get. A lot of times in proposals, you'll see people say you have some sort of resiliency, or you have, maybe the town is down, but PD is still up. But you guys aren't one single image of a site. A lot of manufacturers, the way they design it is if one site goes down, yes, everything else is running. But if I make a change, I have to log into I have to know the change has to be done in town, or the change has to be logged into sewer. This is one big system, so when the failover happens, everyone's still working and making a single change, so it doesn't affect, the
You
system.
don't have to go to each one.
Correct. All right. Any questions on the failover and how that's all going to work? No? All right.
I know.
So this is just our summary slide. Again, you guys are getting the advanced technologies of today that are going to utilize your current infrastructure and not cost you a lot of money. It's simplified, easy to manage for your staff internally, so there's not heavy learning curves. There's also no heavy costs in administration classes. Back in the day, the reasons you couldn't have telecom staff in-house for your specific pieces because you had to pay them tens of thousands of dollars more than what you have to pay your IT staff to do it. The administration, we can train them to be an administrator. We can train your staff. There's no class you have to send them to. This is specific for your system. We include retraining staff every year that is in-house if you want to add new people, part of our service contracts to do that.
And time-wise, as far as in-house staff, what is
It's
the dedication for this?
I would give it, we usually request 4 people at a time, half a day, 4 hours to go through this. Now, and we also, to let you know, we fully expect, there's certain things like on the ads, moves, and changes, they'll be doing a bit of, they'll get that down immediately. We don't expect them to do more complex things. We expect them to call us and say, we need X, we know you showed us this, but, you know, we haven't done it, can you do it for us? And our answer will be yes, okay?
But I mean, as far as in-house staff having to do anything with the system on a weekly basis or anything, should be nothing?
It really should be, once you're set up, it should be very little. I mean, if somebody, if you add some people and stuff, they may,
Just
again, if they're trained, they'll know how to do the ads to the system. But that's what we typically, it's ads, moves, and changes that the local staff does.
Okay.
And they're doing that now in engineering, Lisa does it, so.
And again, everything is all-inclusive. From also what was unique to us is software version upgrades, the labor for it. If you've never been through an old TDM phone system upgrade, I can tell you it's very painful. With us, for example, we did an upgrade last night for Ulster County with almost no downtime for them. They have their sheriff's
We did it
department.
remotely, no one was on
Yeah,
site.
no one was physically on site. Everything can be done remote. They had, people notified that we're going to be doing something. We set up a contingency plan, but every year they get an upgrade. They don't have to pay for it. They don't have to budget for it. It's there for them.
The whole point of this is again, being sensitive to all our clients' needs, whether they're nonprofits or whether they're organizations, normal for-profit business, is that people want to see one bill a year, and that's it. They really don't want to be nickel and dime to death. So everything that's done on a regular annual basis with this is included, okay? The only time you're going to pay us more is if you expand it, buy some more phones, or say, hey, I saw this really cool SIP phone, and now I want 10 people, our bigwigs in the town to have those. Well, fine, go out and buy them, we'll install them, there'll be a cost for that. But beyond that, you're not going to see another bill from us.
And the system itself is a significant savings to the town, because right now we're paying Verizon for several different phone numbers to several different departments and agencies, and once you switch over to a VoIP system, you really only have to have 1 or 2 lines for redundancy. So you're saving all that annual expense to a local phone company for all those phone lines.
And that sums up what the phone system is going to give you. From the NEC side, you have the comfort of a manufacturer that's been here, not just been here in the United States for 100 years, but they do their development here. So if we have to tangibly get technical support of any kind, we can reach out, we can get them. In development, Joya has influence. She's
Well, I
on
do
the board.
because I am on the board, and I've been on the board for 8 years, and I do, I know the president of North America, and everybody we need to know, and they don't want me calling those people. So well, it's true. So we get a lot faster response than a lot of other companies do.
That's it. That sums up for your new phone system.
Thank you.
Rob, can you go into some of the pricings and?
Yeah. Do you have,
Yes, if you would like, I can get those out.
so Brandon will share the cost of the phone system, and I'll show the overall package. I have a spreadsheet that I can tell you guys, it's pretty easy to understand.
Down.
Two more.
We're moving on up. We're gonna
Bill?
go from the 19th century into the 21st century.
We'll have heated phones, what are we gonna have next?
So needed.
Well, we have our computer software now, so we'll have.
And thank you for doing the
Moving on.
slideshow before you gave us the packet.
You're
That's very
welcome.
nice.
Yes, because what do people go to first? The pricing.
The pricing. So I'll take you through the proposal. The reason a lot of these are broken out are parts and pieces, because that's how they're listed on the OGS contract, so we're gonna show it to you how they're expected to show it. Overall, I broke it down into a few different sections. One is the NEC phones, the components for your system, and then the FiberEdge piece that is separate from this. The phones here we listed out. When we did the initial walkthrough, I came back and compiled all the data from all your locations, what type of phones you had, what capabilities you had at those locations to give you, power over Ethernet, if it was gonna save you money by doing FiberEdge, or if we should provide a, Cat 5e cable and plug it into the back of the router. We did all of those assessments for you, and all these different phones mean is what type of capability I can come. They will all do the same thing. The only difference is the number of buttons on the phone for speed dials, and if they can have local power or not. That's only the difference, but they all are NEC phones and all supported by us.
And if you opt, you can obviously change and mix and match. We don't care.
Absolutely. Moving on to the NEC SV9100 components. The first line item is your 12 phone package. That means this is your primary system chassis or console. That's your main system piece that's going to be going into one of the data rooms. If you've ever seen the phone system, it probably takes up about an entire room at this point in time. This is literally going to take up 2 pieces in a rack. That's how small the technology has gotten, and you're going to get so much more with it.
Does it give off a lot of heat?
No. It is required for you to still have the central air.
We want it in a place where you
Yeah.
can keep computers, so.
Okay.
But we don't have to have a fan blowing on it
No,
while we're
no,
trying to
no.
have meetings and,
I just didn't know if it was so small, if it was required, different.
Right.
No,
Right,
just,
ice
well,
fog
a
and
cool
up
room.
to-
The
that's about it.
standard on any of this stuff now is
What'd you
data
say?
room with standard air conditioning.
Okay.
And so if you've got a data room, which you do, and you have standard air conditioning, you're fine.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
And it's rack mounted.
The second line item here is the NetLink. NetLink is the product key that's for your failover. So this is your second chassis that can go in. A big key to point out with this, you can have up to 50 of these chassis located across the town. So we've provided 2, so in the future, if you're looking for additional failover, you can add that to your system and have it. So we've provided 2 because we feel that would be consistent for you. Most of our clients your size have 2 points of failure, but your 2 points of redundancy, but you can always add more if it's requested in the future. All right. The piece under it, the flash compact card, that's just part of the CPU that needs to go in. They just list that as a separate item. The redundancy for your carrier services, which is what your Verizon is today, we've worked with Telecom Data Services to work out carrier redundancy. So, for example, we're going to be putting a PRI, which is a physical piece connection that goes into the chassis, and also SIP trunks. If you guys aren't familiar with those pieces, PRIs are hard-coded to the box, and SIP trunks are things that can fail over. SIP is the new world of conversation. They're much more cost-effective, which is why Telecom's probably saving you guys so much. It's better than individual lines. One line today is probably costing you $25 to $35 each. Where with SIP, it comes into one big package. You don't have to have multiple lines running in the back room. It comes to one central point, but it will fail over.
Yeah, and that's the key point. If the SIP trunks go out or if the PRI goes out, you've got the other up and running. So you're not going to be knocked out of business totally, correct?
And the carrier redundancy part is the 2 different carriers will be in there. So if you have an outage with, for example, not using what you
Yeah,
guys
this
are
is a mistake a lot of people make. They get 2 sets of, they get PRI and they get SIP, but they get them from they get them from like Verizon. Well, if Verizon goes out, everything's gone. You have no real redundancy there. So it's very important that you have 2 separate carriers to handle that.
The next line item is your standard user license. This is your seat license for everybody in the town to be able to use their phones. It gives them a phone license, so the phone can be lit, and a voicemail license. It's interchangeable, so it's not, don't think it's hard-coded to the phone, where you toss out the phone, you lose it. It's a license that's in the system, so if a phone breaks and you throw it out, Popping in a new phone is not gonna change your license. All right. The 16-port voicemail blade is in there. That is your UM8000 blade that I showed you that will have the dial by directory. The next line item is the in-server blade. That's where all of your unified communications pieces will come in, where you get your presence, your texting, all of the unified communications that you're looking for will be in there. There's a rack mount to put it in there. There's voicemail, text to speech, so it'll speak the text of your email messages
If you wish.
if you wish.
I do, especially now.
Your 32-port conference application is in there. There's lots of different features and
Wow.
functions included. We can train you on how to use it. You can give it to specific users. You can make it only for certain users, or you can give it to everybody town-wide.
Mass notification is kind of like a robocall kind of thing that you could do?
Yeah, it's an additional licensing piece you'll still need, but it gives you a cost savings if it's something you wanted to activate. So it is a robocall or text messaging that'll send it out on ports so people can get an alert of some sort,
Within the network.
or outside. They can send an email, text message, voice call. It'll shoot it out, even if, say, my cell phone number was in our mass notification. If something happened, I wanted to push something out, my cell phone number would receive whatever I signed up for.
Let's say we have a townwide emergency and the supervisor wants to send out a notification to the town.
You could potentially do that, yes.
Employees, radio,
You'd have to log in all their phone
But,
numbers.
but remember, yeah, and remember this, it will take time, because you've got X number of facilities to push all this out.
Yeah.
So, it is not, and I want everybody to be clear about this, it is not like getting a massive, dedicated notification package from another company. This is not meant to do
It's
this.
not- okay,
This is
gotcha.
meant for
For-
smaller groups and.
okay, so like
Okay.
15, 20
Yeah,
people?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just
I
want to
think
make.
But you
that
could do
clear.
by department?
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
so you, if it went over an hour?
Oh, absolutely,
You could do by
absolutely.
department, right?
It really, if you maintain it to hear supervisors being advised of something coming up and something like that, that's fine, that's perfect, that's exactly what this is
For.
for. But this is not to notify a whole university campus or a
Right.
whole town.
Yeah.
Like
no.
a missile is getting ready to hit Hawaii.
Exactly, this is not what you want to use.
Oh, it's not-
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. One of our
Shucks,
other
I was gonna
counties,
follow it.
how they used it was they have a security team, it's up to 10 people to one blast, so that's what they did. If there was a security issue, they'd have a code pushed out via text message, screen pop, or something like that, so they could react to whatever that was, all right? The two last ones, SWA, is short for software assurance. These are required pieces by the manufacturer in order to maintain your software. Call them for factory technical support, the software version upgrade.
And we sell no systems without the client taking that.
Yeah.
That's not even negotiable on our part, because guess who you're gonna blame if we can't fix something?
Yeah.
Us. We've gotta be able to reach the manufacturer, and we've gotta be able to get you the patches and the updates that go with these systems on an annual basis.
Then, yep, the next piece is the FiBridge. When we did your site walkthrough, I can also provide in the future, if you guys are interested in looking at it, how I broke down all of the sites and how I saved you money versus if we should use local power, like plugging in your laptop to the wall or phone to the wall, versus putting in a FiBridge unit to push power over your current cabling. We did an assessment by location and figured out which one's going where, how many of what you needed, and that's how we came up with these numbers for each of them. They come in different portage, from 8, 24 to 48 port units. You guys didn't need to go over 48, so you were very good with what you had. And then the piece under that is the adapters. So what happens is you're gonna have a phone. In the back of the closet, it's gonna be plugged into this unit, but sitting at the desk is gonna be something about this big, plugged into the two cables. That's how the power gets there. That's how you get the VoIP system to work. We support all of that, and one of the biggest notable pieces of the FiBridge is that because they stand by their product, they offer lifetime guarantee support of this product. So once you purchase this with that lifetime guarantee, 10 years from now it stops working, they'll send you a replacement.
And does this have software updates attached to it also?
No.
No, there's just one, whatever it is, it is.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. But they will
I mean, it's really
service it.
doing one single function,
So,
and that is sending that power out, so everything can communicate.
And again, the lifetime will be there, so if you have a port out, they're gonna come and send us a new unit and we'll install it for you. With all of that, we have included the remote professional services. It's a highlight of what we're including for us.
Well, it's on-site originally, we don't just drop ship the stuff and say, okay. We come out, we'll be putting out the phones, we'll be training everyone. It will be out here for a while, probably for a week or two. But and then beyond that, our service will be primarily remote. And you'll have your kit on-site, and we'll expect that to be, that's how we'll work together. That's not to say we don't come out annually to do retraining or to look at something, or if we've got to do an update that we feel is better done on-site versus remotely, and so forth, which occasionally happens.
So that's an annual fee, the 43,400?
No, one time.
That's a one-time fee.
Okay.
And we gave you a discount at the bottom there anyway.
I know, but it expired December 27,
Well,
2017.
this thing, since we started talking,
Expired a few times.
It's a good thing I know everyone at NEC, and if we don't ultimately get this pulled together, I'm gonna look really bad, because I have begged them over and over and over again to extend this and extend this and extend this and extend this. I think we're on our, how many extensions have we had? Yeah, 4.
Too many.
So, but we got a good price package here for it, and it would have been a shame to not fight for it. So,
So then, the last page is just showing you, you know, we always like to present with you second year fixed costs, because you don't want a surprise, all of a sudden it's $50,000 for your second year. For your second year, we guarantee the price that's listed here. And moving forward, that will also be your yearly support.
And how, okay, so, and what's the life expectancy of these?
interesting, you asked that. One of the things is that you really shouldn't have any sort of forklift upgrades or anything like with the older style Nortel that you've got now. NEC is pushing forward, and they're consolidating their products. Now, all this software is similar on all systems, so what you're gonna see a very extended life on it. And they're known for, even when the old TDM 2400s, I'm talking NEC talk, but anyway, it was an old system like you've got now. They took that core software, and when people moved to this new stuff, they moved it at very, very little cost. It was amazing.
Okay.
So you're in great shape. And this doesn't necessarily pertain just to NEC too. All this newer technology is mostly software-based and gateway-based. I'd be remiss not to say that. So the whole trend in the industry is not to have these big, expensive forklift upgrades where, oh, you gotta throw everything out now and, put in this new stuff. And you'll see it. I think, my prediction is even phones on desks are gonna start to disappear.
Mhm.
I mean, I have a client on my cell phone from our phone system, which is an NEC. I can see what all my employees are doing right now on the phone, regardless of whether they're in New York or my techs in Miami or Dallas or St. Louis. I mean, I can see it all in this. People are gonna not want their phone sets. I mean, I still kinda like it, having it on my desk, but I think you're gonna see that disappear. So this is set up, so as those sets you saw, you've got clients on your PCs, you're gonna have them on these things, on your cell phones and what have you,
Do
so.
you have phone service in here?
Well, no, the phone service was kinda stunk, but I was able to do stuff, so it was slow. But anyway, so I think that's
That's why we need
that's
the
the
handsets.
trend, to answer your question, is you're not gonna be able, you will see this, you'll see an upgrade, you're gonna get your upgrades on software every year, again, it doesn't mean the hardware goes away. And if they do something really radical and make this just server-based instead of, some of the hardware is still a little proprietary that we're putting in, you may have to buy a server for $2,000 or $3,000 5 years or 6 years from now. But again, the trend is like this. A Northern Telecom upgrade, I mean, you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, or 60 or 50,000 in the past. I'm sure you've experienced some of those upgrades.
We haven't, you've seen our phone system.
Well, I know you've done some upgrades, because it wouldn't even be functioning now, but those are expensive. So no, you're not gonna see that. And again, that's the industry trend, that's not just unique to these guys.
And the fiber, do you think that's gonna be around for a good long
Yeah,
while?
the fiber's gonna be, because I don't see the problems with cabling, particularly in these kind of environments, going away. People just don't wanna spend money on the cabling. I mean, I heard, we were sitting here and you're talking about air conditioning. Cabling, air conditioning and heat. I'd go with the air conditioning and heat. I mean, so those are the choices being made, and then you've got historic buildings and cities everywhere around the world that can't be ripped up and walls can't be touched. and what have you, so yeah, I think they're gonna be here for a long, long
And
time.
how long are they around for already?
Oh gee,
Average is been-
15, 16
Yeah.
years?
I mean, NEC was around when I was selling
Oh,
Merlin.
well,
That
the
was
NEC's been around
18
100 years.
The fi- the
NEC
fi-
was one of the
five
first,
rings.
first phone companies. So,
Our first television,
yeah.
first big.
And even most of the gateways and routers you buy and stuff, NEC makes the chips for those. They're really, they're an amazing company. I was in Japan a few months ago, they invited me, and it's just amazing what they're doing. It's, regardless of the label on, let's say, a television set right now, probably half the chips are all made from NEC, whether it's Sanyo or whoever. So that's why they got out of the business. You remember they used to have NEC TVs?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so all the people they were selling chips to got together and essentially got ticked at them and said, stop competing with us. So they said, well, this is our bread and butter over here,
Yeah.
okay, we'll pull our brand
Yeah.
off the market, and that's exactly
What happened.
what happened, yeah. That's kind of a fascinating industry in that regard.
And there's a migration path, so if your hardware for some reason in 15 years we came back and said, hey, you should do it, there's a migration path that's cost effective. So it's not
Okay.
gonna be like what we have to do today is rip out the big piece and put in a new one. You can put in something over top of it and migrate what you have into it, and it'd be relatively inexpensive. We've done that currently to a current client in New York City.
I'll tell you what's gonna happen with this is gonna go to PCs. I'm telling you right now, that's where it's gonna, not PCs, servers. It's gonna sit on top of it, and they're gonna get rid of all the proprietary stuff, for sure. So anyway,
Then I'll hand
Hey.
out. You have a
Oh,
question?
I'm sorry, no.
So my president is very good at this, it makes it very easy to understand. Just on one sheet, you'll be able to show, telecommunications cost, maintenance cost, and the breakdown of it. And so I'll kind of walk you through it, it's very easy, and I'm gonna use my phone, cause I have another one with more savings, and I just have to read the exact number off of for you guys. So if you look, the number of units, 166, that's your POTS lines, a lot of those are gonna go away from going to, a new system.
I'm
uh,
sorry, where were you?
If you look at 166 where it says
Oh, okay.
voice, number of units, a lot of those are gonna go away. Obviously, you're gonna keep your mission critical lines, the fax and alarm that you need. Right next to that number, that's that access point number, that's for voice services, 4264, that's a monthly cost. Then if you look at equipment, these are two options. At the bottom, we'll get to it, but this is based off of savings for a purchase. If you wanna outright purchase the system, from Newcastle, it's $217,935. We have talked about it more, so a lease is probably gonna happen, obviously you guys determine that, but the lease is gonna be $4,007. That's a 5-year lease. Now, if you look below this, here's your current cost. We got this from the invoices that Bill got over to us. So your current voice services, you pay $7,802 through Verizon today. There's the annual, and there's what it is over 5 years. You look at your current black box maintenance, we brought that over a year, divided by 12 months, $1,736 is your monthly, $2,832 is your annual, $104,160 is your 5-year, and then your price for your voice services and your maintenance cost is right there monthly. Now, if you look below it, your proposed cost of your voice service is $4,264. There's your annual, there's your 5-year. You take the proposed Newcastle maintenance. Now, this is only if you guys were to purchase this. If you guys lease this, that number goes to 0, so your savings is even more. So this is based off a purchase, you're spending $1,361 in maintenance. You see it annual, you see it 5-year. Your proposed price for voice service and maintenance is $5,625. You look right below that, your cost. Your current price for voice maintenance, your voice service and maintenance is $9,538. Your proposed through Newcastle access point, and the maintenance is $5,625. That gives you a savings of $3,913 monthly. Got that from the invoices and from proposals that were put together. There's your annual savings of $4,696, and your 5 years, $2,34780. Now that's through a purchase. If you guys want to lease,
Can you say that quicker?
so almost $4,000 a month for a purchase and savings. If you guys lease this, if you look at proposed cost, where it says NC Newcastle Maintenance 1361, that becomes 0 if you're to lease that. So now your new proposed price for voice service and your maintenance is $4,264.
Say that, for which one is that one for?
That's for a lease.
Oh,
that's for your-
46244.
4264, that's for your voice service
And me,
and maintenance, which there is
This
none
one,
because it's
okay.
included in the lease. So now your new savings with a lease is 5,274 a month. And that's 63,288 a year, and over 5 years, 316,440. So that's why when I said to Jim earlier,
60,000.
there's your 120, 130. That's really a breakdown that he put together, and like I said, just to iterate again, our savings fee, we take 50% of the first year only. Some organizations, they pay it in full just to get it out. You can pay right at the beginning, once this is signed, we invoice that. Once the project is completely done, we'll send out another invoice, and that's that. So essentially, you're paying what you're paying today for 6 months, and then you keep the savings for the next 2.5 years. The only other question I have, could you guys speak to the timeline on this? What's the pushback? And where we're at when we need signature by?
Oh, well, good.
January 27th.
Oh, that's,
2 days?
that's 3 days.
And that's just because it's been pushed
Wait a
back
minute,
so much.
wait a minute, we've had this happen.
Yeah, we have our next meeting February 6th. So can you give us to the 6th?
I can try.
What is the, just out of curiosity, what's the downtime during the installation? So you're going to be putting the units next to our current units,
Yeah, we're
and
gonna
then,
go parallel, there won't be
so-
downtime.
okay.
We should be able to get you up and running and testing with some of the new facilities coming in.
Okay.
For the phones, and then when we're ready and everybody's comfortable to unplug the old guy.
Now,
That's,
you-
that's,
I know some had 12 button, 8 button, 6 button,
Right.
and that's for the user. You went through
right,
the
that's
inventory.
based on what you have now, and again, that can change.
Right.
I mean, if you wanna standardize and give everybody the same number of buttons, fine, you can adjust that if you wish.
Yeah, I don't know. There's some people that don't need any buttons.
So what I'll do before I leave, I'll have Jim print out, he actually emailed it, my president emailed this to Jim and I, the lease, just so you have it. I think that's obviously, whatever you guys think is best, most feasible, either way, there's a savings, obviously there's more savings. The lease looks like the better option, so Jim can print that out, and then that's the one you'll sign, the one with the 5274, in monthly savings, then you'll just sign that and either scan or just email that over. And then the other thing I have for you is a TDS agreement. It just shows, you just sign off on 50% of projected savings. It's one page, it's English, it's very easy to understand. It also states that when there isn't a savings, this hasn't happened often, this is outside of you guys, we charge up to 10% of the term. That's another option that some municipalities take when there is no savings. But for this on line item 6A, there's 3 actual options you guys could choose to share in the savings fee. 99% of clients, they do 50%. We had one client do 55%, which is 4 payments. It's every quarter. We've never had someone do 1 a month, though, 12 terms. People just like to get it done. Not like I said, 99% of people do 2 payments of 50%. So that's really up to you guys. You could do 4, you could do 2, you could just pay it in full, whatever you wanted.
Okay.
So that's really it
And
for
what's-
us.
And what are the terms of the lease? Is it 10 years, 20 years, 30 years?
60-month lease,
How many?
60 months, so
5
5 years.
5 year. Now,
Any,
could, between now and the 27th, which is like Saturday, could you give me what the differences are?
$13,000.
Oh. Only 13,000. Okay, thanks.
I have
What's a few
confidence
days
in
after
you that you'll be able to get the price
after
extended
four,
to our next
what's
town
that?
board meeting.
What's a few days after four extensions? Do they say the 5th time's the charm?
It's usually the
We-
third, but.
I
Yeah,
can tell you
we just
any
can't, we
season,
can't,
right?
you know, before the 6th.
What about
we
the
don't know.
Fibridge? Should we talk about that?
I will call Fibridge and ask them, yeah.
No, well, no, I meant about, that's not on,
No, they just,
Yeah, no,
he
yeah,
took care of that.
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So the Fibridge isn't on the state, all this is on the state contract, right?
All the NEC stuff is.
Okay,
Yes.
got it. For the purchase of the actual sets themselves.
Right,
Got
and
it.
there was a discussion we had with Anne Marie about whether we would have to go out to bid just for the Fibridge component, because that wasn't on it. But she felt comfortable with the fact that it's a professional services agreement and it's part of the package, that we probably wouldn't have to do that. Besides, I don't think it was gonna beat your price anyway, but I'll double check with her.
Well,
about
no, and if
different-
so, I mean, you could bid it out as a commodity, and, but without installation,
Yeah, right.
And then you would pick it up and install?
and then they'd have to drop ship it here, and we'd do the installation, and,
The only
We'll
downside
just check
that
with
I
our
would bring
attorney,
up
if
of
that's
that
clear of it.
is that then there's another layer of someone else for support, because they would own your support contract, which would mean if there's something wrong with Bybridge, it would be us telling, you'd have to go to a different vendor.
Can you email me that information?
Correct.
Yeah, I know there was a company.
Just as support for our,
We could kick
for our
that back and
decision.
forth, and there was a
Absolutely.
company that would-
So on the support, so if we have the support for, locked into this price for 60 months or 5 years, I see a discount of 33,000. Does that mean year 6, our support's now going from 16,000, and we're gonna increase that by 33,000?
no. It means you may get a CPA, not CPA, CPI, increase of 2-3%, whatever.
So from where we
So
are.
that's just a lock-in for the 5 years.
But after that, we're gonna take that number and increase it by whatever the
Yeah,
CPI is.
I would say if you figure 2 to 5%, that's where you'd be.
Okay.
And some years there's no increases. So-
And it's a lease agreement.
And that's a lease, and
It's a
that
5
locks
year-
those
it's-
figures
yeah,
in. We-
it's-
we
Yeah, it's a
can't-
5-year lease
yeah.
agreement.
I'm talking about year 6, if it goes up $35,000.
It's not.
Well, then we don't lease from them anymore.
We gotta take
It's
the air
not.
conditioner and the
It's
heating
not,
back
you
on.
can go, in year 5, then you can go out to bid, I mean,
Then
there's
we'll
lots of
tell 'em.
NEC dealers, you can go out to bid
There'll
on
be a
this, and we're not
Bybridge,
gonna
it'll be a
want that to
Bybridge.
happen.
Yeah.
We're gonna want you to stay with us.
Yeah.
And the lease will also allow you, you can choose your terms with NEC's leasing companies and municipal lease. If there's other technology needs, that's something you can add to the lease at any time. So if you guys have
Yeah,
other.
that's a good point, Brianna.
If
yeah.
you need other technology, even if it's not ours, you can add that to the lease. So you have another kind of piece to the puzzle that if new phone sets, new location, you need new switches, even new computers, you can add that to the lease, and it gives you guys a little bit of, no capital expense
Okay.
for it.
Good point.
Any other questions on anything in general?
I don't think so, I think
I appreciate
we
all
have our
your work,
meeting on the
Rob. I know
6th,
it's
and then we can make a decision on the 6th and let you guys know that day.
Okay.
Well, our meeting's at the 6th is
Six,
eve.
no, earlier, right?
Yeah.
Two.
Is it day,
in the
it's at 2
afternoon.
o'clock, so we could let you know before the end of the day.
I appreciate all your work and your
Thank you.
patience.
No problem, no problem. It's our job.
I know it's
Took
been-
us 2 years to get
it's been
Ulster
a long
County to
time.
say. So you're almost there.
So what time is your meeting on the 6th?
It's at 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock.
Okay.
So we should know by the end of the day.
Okay. So what I'll do, Jim, I can give you a call Tuesday.
Sure.
Okay. And then, like I said, I will, Jim, you have that, you can just print it out.
Yeah,
Make
I'll
sure
send
Jeff sent that to you.
If you
That's
have
with
my-
the lease. You can just sign that, the agreement that I sent over, and then you have the proposal from them as well.
Yeah, and can you email me the lease also?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll do that right now.
Where you guys going for lunch?
I have no idea. Where should we go for lunch? Tell us. Well, yeah.
I
Some
can't.
place you
We
can-
have several good
Not
restaurants.
publicly on
in
TV.
town.
That's right,
But I
that's right,
can't
we
make
can't
it.
recommend.
What's your
I
email?
can't
I
recommend
forgot
on
my,
camera.
lots of good ones.
I'd rather tell you where not to go.
JENS.
SMITH?
That would be a
Another
public
S?
service as
Yeah.
far as I'm concerned.
Where's that?
No, I won't say
Yeah, right.
NY.gov.
Yeah,
And
you can have
Patrick,
that.
right in the supervisor's office has all my information, so you can give you one of my cards, if that helps.
Jen Smith, Jen.Smith@townofriverheadnewyork.gov.
Correct.
Okay, I just set that
Oh,
up.
that's it.
What they are?
NY, not New York, down the river.
What did everybody say, New York?
You said New York.
No.
Oh, they took that off?
They amended it.
So it's the same
Oh,
extension
okay,
on the
good.
back of
Everybody else.
Jim on my.
Oh, look at 'em.
on my-
Townofriverheadny.gov.
The new one has that.
Yep.
Oh,
And you can go on to the Riverhead Business Improvement District, and you can find restaurants on that website.
What's that?
In the, if they go to the Riverhead Business
bid.
Improvement District page, there's all the restaurants are listed in there.
Oh, yes. I'll whisper in your ear where to go.
I have a question. If we can't make anything happen with the price going up, then you just update the proposal and send it over?
We'll make
You'll
it
call us
happen.
before if
We'll
you guys
make
doubt
it
it's gonna
happen.
change.
We'll
She's
make
like,
it happen.
they fly her to Japan to have sushi. I think they'll give her 6.
And it was outstanding, let me tell you.
Remember, we haven't had lunch either.
Right.
Don't talk about it.
Tokyo has more Michelin starred, I didn't know this before I went there, more Michelin starred restaurants than any other city in the
I do
world.
know that.
You did know that? I had no idea.
Because I went to the, I was looking for one, my son, when I went to the Brooklyn Fair.
Uh-huh.
Over there, we were looking for them, and then I saw there was a bunch over there.
Yeah,
The hogging them.
I was amazed, I was so amazed. It's an amazing place, it's the cleanest country in the world.
Oh, yeah.
I have never seen anything like this in my
4
life.
o'clock
The
meeting
subway,
in
you
this
could
room.
eat off the platform. The public bathroom, same thing.
I have to go to my
The bullet
email to
train,
you and get
I
all
was
the
so
information in
obsessed
case
because I
you
took
don't
the
get that
train
photo.
to Amtrak to Washington.
Oh, yeah, it's all
And it's
different.
not- yeah. I mean, I got on this
We'll have a
train
photo
and it
and
was
get
like
that link.
incredible. I took my hand, the seat in front of me, and I went like that. Nothing.
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 Okay.
There was no rats on the track beds like in New York City or the
There you
subway. and
go, there you go.
And
It was
it's already been
just,
adopted.
you know, it's funny, and there are no garbage pails in Tokyo. Everybody, you know, puts their garbage in their pocket. If they don't eat and walk on the street, you'll see people eating like in a little park or something. But it was an amazing, amazing experience. I stayed, it was a bucket list trip for me. I stayed almost a month. I was there for a week and a half on business and then the
I
balance.
know, Bill, you wanna go,
traveled
you
around.
gotta go.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, I have another meeting.
I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah,
I don't
so-
mean to distract.
sorry,
That's
all right.
That's all right, you guys are busy. So thank you for your time.
Thank
Mr.
you
Chairman.
very much.
Yeah, that's it.
Pleasure meeting you.
Pleasure, thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations. Mia.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
See you again.
See you.
Nice to see you again.
Thanks for coming. Come back quick.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, nice meeting you.
Okay.
Faces on the phone.
Nice meeting you. Put a face,
Exactly.
put a face to the voice. But you do look like your voice, so I knew it was you.
We crossed that off.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Very nice meeting you. All right, Bill.
Audit RFP?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
You can go with that now?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Joy, it's spelled weird. 4 vowels in a row.
Thanks,
That's
sir.
not it's spelled.
Joy, Debbie, Joy.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Any questions? Feel free to call.
Thank you.
And Bill, I know you.
I have them, yeah, I'll take one here if you don't mind.
That's
I got
yours?
lots of.
No, that is, CD.
Oh, that's ours?
Yes, that belongs to you guys.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Oh, I thought you brought your own.
Okay, are we ready?
We are ready, go ahead.
So, we discussed at the last work session, and I sent you guys an updated email. We had to approve the Justice Court audit, so we did that. So they have already gotten their assignment. Now, so this is really for the two remaining, which is your basic financial statement audit and your community preservation audit. Community preservation is a simple one. George Wren is a company that's been doing it. He typically comes in around $2,000. That's his not to exceed amount. EFPR Group is from upstate, and they don't have any other clients on Long Island. Their bid is around the same as what George has been, so I'm recommending George again. There's not a lot of activity, that's why that comes in so low. All we're doing is paying off debt. Since we're not purchasing any more community preservation property, it's really just a matter of, we're paying off the debt in that fund. So that audit is required by New York State, and as I said, there's no activity in there, so. The independent audit committee and myself have recommended George Wren to continue that.
And he's been doing it.
He's been doing it, yes. Okay.
Yeah, the
He's-
company is familiar with the GASB 45 and all the other GASB, their financial reporting, everything.
Yeah, well, for the Community Preservation Fund, there's no GASB 45 or 34 involved. It's just a state-required audit.
Well, we're not really doing the CPF fund much, so,
Yeah, it's
for
just that.
$100, I'll just Xerox it and turn it in with a different date.
There
on it.
you go.
It's not hard to do.
So now the basic financial statements.
Jeez, when I first got here, it was like 200,000.
Yeah, so it's because we go out and do RFPs, so we're keeping that cost down. If you look at the first two companies, again, the second company,
We're talking about the basic,
the
right?
basic now, EFRP Group CPAs, those, that company, again, is from upstate. They don't have a presence down here. For them to come down here and actually do the audit would probably not bode well anyway. But one of the things that we asked for when we did it last year is give us a budget on how many hours you expect to spend on this budget, on this audit. AVC, who's been here, that 1,450 hours is their budget based on them doing this audit for however many years. They've got it down
It's
to a
reality,
science now.
it's realistic, very
You can
realistic.
see Naraki Smith, who's another player who's, qualified to do this, is budgeting over 1,600 hours for the audit. And one of the things you have to realize is the first year of the audit, you have to add another 25% for the first year.
But they
as far
average
as
it out, they
hours.
tend to think they're gonna get the audit for a couple of years once they start.
Yeah,
correct?
but, what they do is they will eat, in essence, the cost of that 25% extra time for the first year, knowing that they're getting a 3 to 5 year.
But it's 1 year extension, it's 1 year extension, 1 year extension, the contract's 1 year with extensions,
Well,
right?
typically, the way it is, it's 3 years. We have the ability not to have them back the second year regardless. If we're not happy with them after year 1, we just go back to them and do this again. But typically, the way the contracts have been that we've set up is 3 years and then 2 one-year extensions before we do this process again, okay? So if you look at EFPR Group, they're budgeting 940 hours, which is obviously not enough time to do the audit. Same thing with Cullen and Danowski, they're budgeting 1,000 hours. And now, I know the 25%, all of these firms are willing, God bless you,
Thank
are
you.
willing to eat the first year, but 1,000 hours is, a third less than what's been projected by the 2 companies that I feel are qualified to do this. I'm not saying Cullen and Danowski is not qualified.
How long's AVZ been doing ours?
10 years. So they've had 2 5-year.
Has it been 10?
Yeah, they had 2 5-year, they did 2007, and then they did through 2000.
No, we brought them in 2008.
We,
I was
they
here.
were behind 7, 8, 9, 10 when we took,
Oh, yeah,
when I
no,
took
yeah,
office.
no.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, what happened was there was, our financials at that point, we weren't really GASB 34 compliant. They came in and did 3 years of audits in a year period. I mean, it took them that long to get about $70 million worth of assets on our books that were not being recorded prior to that. That's why they were behind, and in 2010, we did a 7, 8, and 9 audit. They presented all 3 of them in 1 year. So, and since then, they've been, they've been timely. So, so as far as, one of the things that the audit committee and myself discussed was, in my office, as I mentioned in an email to you, we have 2 new accountants in my office, including my deputy, okay? We have a new financial system. To have a new audit firm come in this year and cost us another 25% of our time to go through all of these new schedules with them and everything else is something that I can't put my office through at this point. If you look at, we'll look at the 2016 audit in another week or 2. There's a couple of comments in there. One of them specifically to do with my office, and really just a matter of not being staffed to be able to accommodate that. So so the recommendation by the independent audit committee was to bring back AVZ for 1 year and then redo this next year. So that if we're gonna go away from AVZ and incur that extra 25% in hours on our side and everything else, that we would do that once we stabilize my department as far as financial software and employees, okay? So if you look at the cost, if we assume that Cullen Danowski can do the job, whether it's in 1,000 hours or 1,500 hours, it doesn't matter. This is a contract not to exceed that dollar amount, then it would be $29,000 less to give that to them this year. I don't want to incur that cost necessarily, but
It's 35,000, right?
well, because if we give them, the cost by AVZ for Justice Court is $3,600 if they have the basic financials. So when you add those 2 together, it's $29,000. Because the $3,600 versus the $9,500 for Cullen is another $5,900 savings. So putting those 2 together, the recommendation has been to have AVZ here for 1 more year, and then we can redo this in October and have more time to go through. And at that point, when we have the financial system in place and we have the employees, the new employees there for a year, we just hired 2 new employees, accountants, in October and November. Then we can potentially go to a new accounting firm that would, again, take that much more time for our office, of time from our office.
I think,
Holy mackerel.
I mean, I prefer, we've had somebody auditing for 10 years, I think that's a very long time I think that you need another set of eyes to come in and look at with a $29,000 savings attached to it. I think we've had this discussion about that, but I think Cullen and Danowski and AVZ are gonna come in and present.
They're gonna come in on the 1st and the 8th to present. Cullen Danowski did the special agreed upon procedures audit for the Justice Court. So they're gonna present that audit on the 1st. On the 8th, AVZ is gonna come in and present both their basic financial statements audit for 16 and their regular Justice Court audit for 2016.
I thought Cullen and Danowski was also coming in to present themselves for
Th-
this.
No, they were just coming in to
I
issue.
can tell you, I was a big proponent, I was a big proponent after Jack had died and everything, and you brought in, and we went 3 years without really having audit, and ABZ came in, I was the same way you were. I said, well, let somebody come in, help straighten it out, let them have a run for it, but I don't want the same eyes looking at it year after year after year after year, because that always leads to, hey, Bill, maybe not getting a thorough job. But after meeting the principals of ABZ, I find them, and they always change up partners anyway, they always send somebody else than the other guy. I understand what you're saying now with the new software and the new employees, the fact that they're familiar with it, the fact that they're probably dead on with their hours, if not less, because they've been doing it so long. As long
And
as,
they bill us for the hours,
as long
so
as we can do, I mean, I'm not opposed to a 1 year for them, but it has to be
That was the
a drop dead
recommendation.
1 year, because I really think we need it, so.
But if you have if you have someone new coming in, it's a new system, everybody's going through it together. I mean, it's a new system, so, I mean, to me, maybe this is the time to do it.
we have
I mean,
we have a new system and 2 new accountants in my office, which puts enough pressure on my office to begin with, okay? Just getting all this stuff done. I mean, you can see even now, we ran checks last Thursday for the first time this new year because of Edmonds. And that was, we kind of projected that. I mean,
Get
we.
more help.
What's that?
You could get more help with the savings.
Well,
The software, so we don't have to get new help.
right. So, the recommendation of the independent audit committee and myself was to do this for 1 year, okay? If the board feels differently, that's fine, that's our recommendation, you guys vote on it. Again, the recommendation would be to go out right after the audit was done, sometime in September, October, do the RFP again, and then, regardless, if the numbers come in the same and we have a new company that's coming in and gonna spend 25% more, then, my department and staff would be prepared for that at that point.
So I'd like to see the resumes of Cullen and Danowski and versus AVZ and the municipalities that they're currently working for, and I
That's why they should
agree
come,
with
that's why
Laura,
they
should do
come in
a
and present,
presentation.
they're coming here anyhow, they should present.
I agree.
Okay?
Did
So-
you look into like what other municipalities some of these
Yes,
guys do?
yeah, and it's a small community where when you go to Government Finance Association, you meet all the other firms, you know which ones do fire districts, school districts, and towns and counties and so forth. So I will also forward to you guys the proposals for all of them. I have them here but one copy, so I'll send you PDFs of them so you can read through them. And then I will also ask both Cullen, Danowski, and AVZ, when they come here to present their 2016 audit, to be prepared to be interviewed for the 2017 audit.
Yeah, I think,
Is that
and
fair?
then
That'd be
it's easy, make our decision with,
Okay.
having met them.
Based on that.
That works. Okay.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
Thanks, Phil.
I think ABZ does a lot of the East End towns too, right?
Yeah, they do.
I think they're about the same, Cullen and Danowski and ABZ do about the same amount of,
No, Cullen and Danowski do 2 towns.
you do Southampton,
Yeah, two towns in
Oh, I don't
Nassau,
want
Suffolk,
Suffolk.
yeah.
yeah.
No, forget it.
Dan, you're up next.
I'd be curious to ask them how long they've been doing Southampton's audits for, because
That's
Southampton
okay.
got into a jam a few years ago
I
with
think
their
that's-
CPF fund. They switched over to Cullen and Danowski.
I'm not sure, we'll ask them, I wouldn't swear to that.
I think it's a
Good
good
thing I
idea.
didn't wear my Argyle sweater today. I have the exact same one. I was gonna wear it too.
Good day for it, right?
So I've made copies of our present
Oh,
policy.
remember this.
Supervisor?
I have it.
Joe, you have yours,
Thank
right,
you,
as well as
yes.
the resos that you
Yes.
asked for?
Okay, so I had problems with this last time that we adopted it. I adopted it because I felt the need to get a social media policy on the books, and it did cover quite a lot. I know Dan did some exhaustive research into what other towns' social media policies have and what have you, and I think he did a great job on it.
Thank you.
The only thing that I was really, I guess, bothered by was that you know, Larry would be monitoring it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to make sure there were no negative comments put up on the Facebook page or into the Twitter accounts and what have you. So I didn't like the commenting section. I liked that we were putting out information, Alive on 25's coming, and using social media as more of an informative,
Platform?
I thought that discussion happened last time and there was no comments
well, there are
permitted.
comments, and right now, if you go to our Facebook page, you'll see comments, and, you know, where we posted the job fair, we had somebody go on, and in his comment, he solicited his own business for resume writing, and then,
Larry should have deleted it.
understood, but I'm
Part
just
of the
saying.
policy.
And then there's also, on our Facebook page, there is an advertisement for downtown Huntington and a video as to what downtown Huntington has come. That's been one of the response comments to what we were doing in our downtown. And then one of the response comments was, look at what Huntington's doing, and then there was another one from Brookhaven, so,
You can't stop that.
Well, yes,
You can.
Well, I
and
mean, you
it's
can
supposed
delete
to
it.
be stopped as part of this policy.
Right. I mean, you can
So-
stop
None
it
of
if
that's
you
allowed.
see it, but I mean, you can't.
but, and I don't know what posts had been posted that were eliminated that we didn't know about, because Larry was up at 2:00 in the morning, looking at the Facebook post to make sure that nothing negative was put up there.
Well, no, you put a block on it and nothing gets posted until you approve it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what was supposed to happen. And so I don't know if that's what was happening, but the way it's supposed to happen, if somebody comments, nothing should be seen until somebody
To approve.
okays it
That's
to
not
approve
what's
the post.
happening.
But then that's because the administrator set it up incorrectly. It's not because they're allowed to post on it. And specifically, this policy says you can't do that.
No, the policy says that you can't that everybody will be responsible for, and that it's subject to litigation, and, you know, they'll be responsible for it, for their postings, but it does say that you can post, it says that there can't be any
Advertising
racial.
appearing on the site are not controlled by the town or agency and do not reflect the endorsement. Communications posted by this may not contain prohibitions under 1. All communications included prohibited shall be subject to pre-posting review as town resources allow and may be denied and removed at any time without notice. And I believe that was a comment you brought up when this policy came through, so nothing is supposed to go on there. Was what I thought this was
Me too.
supposed to be, until somebody approved it to be posted.
Right, so I think that the review of posts is subjective to some, as we can see on the town Facebook page right now. And I just don't think that, I think that it should be more advisory than it should be allowing people to comment back and forth about what a crummy event it was or what a great event it was.
I agree with you, and I thought when you guys adopted this policy, I believe that you had this exact same conversation, and this was the policy that was put out to prevent that.
Right,
So,
but, and that's why when you appoint an administrator that may or may not be following the policy, or may not be understanding the policy and what it was meant to be, I thought it would just be best to just eliminate comments altogether. Because
That's
how do
fine
you
with
have
me.
somebody 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? I mean, he's a
But that's
staff.
what I'm saying, you don't need somebody 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because nothing is posted unless someone approves the posting.
It's not supposed to be, but, and then whatever, and whoever's posting is subjective.
Well, I think it's pretty clearly written. I'm okay with if we don't want to post on it, I'm
Fine.
okay with that.
I'm with it.
And then,
Well, wouldn't that be sort of like a suggestion thing?
Forget the comments.
You don't think we need that?
Do it for announcements.
To allow somebody to
Yeah,
post
I
on
mean,
there?
It's almost like a suggestion
Do it for
box.
events.
I mean, I'll go either way on it.
and then the links, I think, to the Town of Riverhead website, the links that we should connect through the Town of Riverhead website should be to the Town of Riverhead Recreation Program, to the Town of Riverhead Police Department.
Town
Not
of
have all separate Facebook pages for the
I don't
police
know how
department, for
Riverhead,
the town, for
Riverhead
that.
Recreation has a .net. I don't know who approved that. How does Riverhead Recreation have a .net for their website that's not even attached to this?
Yes, it's
Which, as per this policy, is not supposed to happen.
Right, I was.
So this is all things that have
I
gone
didn't
on,
I didn't,
that need to be cleaned up. And I don't know necessarily that it's the policy that's bad, I think it's the fact that the policy wasn't being followed. So, you know, if you wanna go that way and just change the policy because it wasn't being followed, or do you wanna allow the policy to be followed for a period of time, and then if it
What did you
checks it.
say?
Facebook does not allow you to pre-check your posts, but before they're put on Facebook, you can't stop it from happening. That's what the whole platform's about.
No, and you can't erase them once they're up, if somebody else posts it. You have to file a complaint with Facebook, and then they take it down.
Can you hide all comments?
You can't block it, it can't be just a one-way only?
So then the choice becomes, do we not have Facebook, or we
Yeah,
have
take-
Facebook,
yeah,
which
take
I
that,
think
yeah,
is a
forget the
conversation you
Facebook.
guys had before also.
Forget it.
I will say there were probably a handful, maybe 10 or so comments on all of
Yeah, but you know what, you get,
almost everything was positive.
All these-
I don't think I took anything down.
Just take Facebook down, forget it.
And that other post I never
Wait,
saw
one
that,
second.
so I have to, I would have to go take a look at that other post that.
So
There's
you
a
didn't
couple
find
of
it
them
too
in there.
Well, if
cumbersome?
it wasn't a problem.
Did you find it too onerous to have to go through the comments?
No, there was almost, like I said, there was a handful. I mean, I would go in there every day, I would go in there, I'd take a look at the comments, and most of them had no comments. Every once in a while, when we had something going on, people would comment, oh, good job, or this or that, or, you know, commenting about the, presentation that was, you know, he gave an award to someone or something, you know, congratulations to the person that was there, and that was pretty much it. But otherwise, there was really no other comments. I thought we would get more comments, like, when we were doing Live on 25 stuff, but no one really commented on that.
But like on the Facebook page, when we gave the award for the dysautonomia, is that what it was? Dysautonomia or something that was, am I pronouncing that right, Denise? Dysautonomia. Like, you know, then there's a link on how to connect to that, to go to their website and, you know.
But
so
if you see something like that, then you would text the administrator and say, take it off, or, you know.
What is this doing on here?
Yeah,
So.
yeah, I mean, I think we're all the eyes and ears, you know, and trust me, nothing goes on that somebody doesn't dislike, that somebody doesn't call somebody on. So then, you just remove, you know, you remove it, you have to monitor it.
I just think that it's,
That link didn't mean that we were endorsing it as a town.
well,
That's
if
just
you,
what somebody posted up, so it's not like we endorsed it because somebody
that's
put it in a
addressed.
comment.
well, like, for example, with the Illuminati, that's on our Facebook page right now, for his, Larry Sims letter on Facebook is on our Town of
Oh,
Riverhead
yeah.
Facebook page right now. So, it's just, I'm just saying that we may wanna reconsider the Facebook. We may want to, instead of inundating Patrick with putting up information, you know, about what's going on in the town, we may wanna have two people, the town board coordinator and the supervisor's appointee, or,
Why is
you know
Sim's
what?
letter on our Facebook page?
You're on the Town of Riverhead.
Who put it up there? Who put his letter on our Facebook page?
I just, I'll show you.
Get rid of our
I need
Facebook
to
page.
get over there.
We have a town website, you can go to find up and coming events.
I thought it
You don't
was.
need a Facebook page.
It's not on there, Jim,
It's not-
and nobody would've, from the town would've posted that on there. I
No.
don't think.
Let's not jump to conclusions.
Let's see.
I was extremely careful with Facebook.
Everybody
making sure
does.
that nothing went on there that was inappropriate or directed towards either, anything, you know.
Have we had complaints or problems or?
I've never gotten a complaint with Facebook, no one ever said anything about it.
Nor I. I've never received any
Okay.
complaints regarding
Well,
any
I
of these
mean,
social media sites.
So, on our
Does seem
Town
like
of Riverhead
Facebook's
page,
Public friendly thing.
Well, we just,
I'm okay letting it go, and then if,
did we just hire
and it,
Patrick to do this?
Revisiting it if we start
Yeah, if
to
there's-
notice it's a problem.
Yeah.
How's that?
And Jody,
I
it
thought
doesn't
there was a
preclude,
link
it
on
doesn't
here,
preclude
too.
anybody else from, you know, the policy
Posting
says,
on there.
you can have any department head, you can assign people to do that, they're responsible for what's coming out of the department, there's disciplinary actions if things are inappropriate, it doesn't have to be just one person, but there's gotta be one person that gives the administration to other people. You add other administrators, and you can actually even limit what the other administration's access are, so they can't change like the front picture, they can't do things like that. But there's no reason that different departments, I mean, if the rec department's doing something wonderful, you know, they could post it on, if it becomes more active, if it becomes more user-friendly, and then help support what's going on through the town. I mean, a lot of people use Facebook for information.
I'd love to know how many hits we had on that page.
not many.
Well, you'll get as many hits as active as the page is, you know, if you're posting, you know, what events are going on, what's happening, then you know, people tend to take a look at it. If a page is stagnant for a really long time, then people tend to not continue to look
I mean,
at
I
it.
would go to a town website when I would go to a town Facebook page.
Well, now you're showing your
Most
age.
people, most
You're
people
showing
we go
your
to a
age there.
Facebook page.
My daughter,
So, do we wanna give it a go for a little while longer and see if we're having troubles, and then we can address it again, since we haven't had any?
I wanna give it a go a little while longer.
give it a go, I mean, it's, no harm, no foul at this
Yeah.
point, I don't even know why it's on this.
I just saw it on here.
I can't
There,
hear you.
there was a link, I think it was to your website.
Very nice, you have your work session agenda up there, you have.
On
your
our
feedback
Facebook
work
page, I
session,
think there's a
joint
link to
attorney
your
meetings
Facebook
involved,
page.
which is,
Right.
I think, the purpose of it.
Yeah.
And you have one like on one of the things, and you're right, Laura, you need to have more activity to get more people.
One like, was
Right.
it, on my tie?
Obviously, we need more activity if we only have one like.
You didn't post what restaurant you're at now?
No,
or
no,
where you
no,
were
no,
on the
no,
trip,
no,
or-
no.
I'm not a Facebook
Where's
person.
Waldo?
I think
Where's
it's kind
Laura?
of embarrassing how most people use it, but
Police departments have their own Facebook pages.
Yeah, that's what-
I mean, it's kind of like a communication.
We could've
It
used
is for
something,
alerts,
we
emergencies.
could've used
Kinda
something like
ridiculous.
that in the storm. Remember I was
You know,
talking
these
about
jerks
how I wish we
posting
could
terrible things.
have posted the roads
Well,
that
we
were
did.
closed
Well, the police did.
on their Facebook page, the roads that were closed?
Well, the police put that, on a live on 25, that, Main Street would be closed from this to this, from this time to this time, but it's inconsistent, so not everything is getting
Well,
posted
no,
up there.
just in that last storm, people were really trying to find out which roads were closed
Right.
and when they reopened.
It's an instantaneous communication, which was,
It
is
is.
It is.
helpful.
I recommend
But
that we.
there's gotta be either, then somebody from the police department too, that's constantly updating this, like during the
They
storm.
have, that's all in the policy. If the police department wants to be on it and they wanna do that, they certainly can do that.
The police department, they don't have a Facebook page, that's run by an outside person. So they don't have a Facebook page at all, that's run by somebody else.
somebody actually.
Unless they
Well,
have
that's against the policy
instituted-
too.
Unless they have instituted that since,
We did that.
like,
Unknown,
before
it's
this
an
was-
unofficial
Riverhead Town
site.
Police Department has a
Very
page
small
on
letters, it
Facebook.
says unofficial,
Yeah,
or
that's
something
not
to
run
that
by the
effect.
Was it
They
Riverhead?
should
thought the
take
same
it
thing.
down.
We called over to
And
pay
then
it.
Riverhead
should.
Business Improvement District has a page,
It's not-
Town of Riverhead
it's not
Parks and
theirs,
Recreation
it's-
has a
They
page.
can't even.
Right, it's not their property.
So are we okay
Oh,
with
that's
letting
weird.
it go for a little while as it is? If people wanna expand, if Karen wants to do it, she certainly can be, also post on there.
Yeah, let's monitor it
everybody-
and see what
Yeah,
happens.
I mean,
That's
it's,
what I
it's,
say.
I mean, it would be nice if it became more active
And by the way,
than-
let's
than-
liven it up a little more.
I'm working with Cindy, we're gonna
Oh,
line it
all
up.
right, everybody go and like our page.
No, we need to make it more
Okay,
interesting.
Okay, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 6 more likes.
We need to make it more informative and more interesting.
All right, I'm moving on here. We're okay with,
I'm good with it.
all right.
Yeah, I'll go with the flow on
All
it
right.
with you.
So the,
Tim's moving into the new century.
the next one is just,
I
I just-
find it embarrassing how
I just
people
got
use
Snapchat.
Facebook, I think.
My
it's-
daughter was mad, I got Snapchat.
You find
Family fights are posted on
Oh,
it, and it's like,
not
what's
on
that,
ours,
kidding
though.
me?
Yeah.
Oh,
Maybe
I
hasn't
know, it's
seen
been,
that.
people don't govern themselves at
embarrassing.
town board meetings properly without having to post on that thing.
all right, so just a reminder, everybody to submit for their liaisons for the outside agencies. Jody, I know that you had put in for the fire district, that was something that you were interested in. But we have the Chamber of Commerce, East End Arts Council, East End Transportation Council, Fire Districts, and the Peconic Estuary. Originally, we had said we would do that on the rotating basis. So if you could just, I think we'll do it as like somebody goes to a particular one, because I think last time we spoke, we had said it may be more beneficial for these groups to have somebody that goes, they're a continuous contact.
Constantly.
So if you could just send them over to me.
We did.
But
Didn't we?
that was just the one
I
little
did,
one that we
but-
didn't do, that we were gonna do on the rotating basis, and then we changed, we got it back, okay, I
Yeah.
didn't see that then.
Who?
All right, so then, that would be it, and just a first and second to go into executive session for, contractual, matter for the, SOA, litigation for Suffolk County Community College Culinary Arts, and our Rosato versus Pruitt.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.